So I woke up this morning, checked news as I want to do, and found a story that seems a little bit more important than people are giving it credit for. So I wanted to float it up to your attention because it might make the difference between life and death on the planet as a whole. So I thought it was worth a little bit of a second glance. So at NBC News, there's an article. U.S. government hackers threaten to intervene in election over, quote, Russia, end quote, suspicions. To get this story in context, Hillary Clinton said relatively recently, "As president, I will make it clear that we will treat cyber attacks just like any other attack. We will be ready with serious political, economic, and military responses." This is very, very important to understand that a cyber attack is considered to be an act of war worthy of a military response. Cyber attack. I wonder if back in 2006, when the National Security Agency in the United States monitored the phone conversations of 35 world leaders, they were given the numbers by an official in another U.S. government department, and this is, of course, according to a classified document provided by Edward Snowden. I wonder if that would be considered an act of war, because that seems like cyber hacking pretty considerably. The article goes on to say, U.S. officials are alarmed that the Russian hack of Democratic Party emails has exposed vulnerabilities in the security of the electoral voting system that are big enough to compromise the credibility of the upcoming presidential election. Now, there is no proof, to my knowledge, that the Russians hacked Democratic Party emails. If there was such a proof, I would think it would be forthcoming. No such proof has been provided. And of course, there are rumors that the Podesta emails were supplied to... Anyway, it's all nonsense. So no proof that I know of. The article goes on to say, they say it's unlikely that Russian agents or other groups would hack into individual U.S. voting machines nationwide and hand a victory to one candidate or another, but say hackers could remotely exploit any digital weaknesses in each state's electoral system to wreak havoc. Wait a minute. Call me crazy, but hasn't the Democrat administration and every Democrat-leaning newspaper, which is to say newspapers as a whole, haven't they been saying it's ridiculous for Donald Trump to say that elections could even remotely conceivably be altered or rigged or anything like that? Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if I can break the Da Vinci Code here. I think that what they mean is that when Hillary is winning in the polls, elections can't possibly be rigged, and it would be insane for anyone to suggest such a thing. But now that Hillary is down in the polls, they're really, really concerned about election rigging. It's so boringly predictable. Now, again, according to this article, U.S. military hackers have penetrated Russia's electric grid, telecommunications networks, and the Kremlin's command systems, making them vulnerable to attack by secret American cyber weapons, should the U.S. deem it necessary, according to a senior intelligence official and top secret documents reviewed by NBC News. Well, if cyber attacks are an act of war, what would you call all of this remarkable stuff? I mean, the fact that they've penetrated telecommunications networks, electric grid, Kremlin's command system, isn't that kind of war-ishy, warlike, in the realm of war, if this is what Hillary Clinton says, and any cyber attack is an act of war? Now, American officials, I'm going to paraphrase here, so U.S. officials have long said that places like Russia and China, other nations, that they have left hidden malware in various places in U.S. critical infrastructure. So they say it's definitely there, but it's hidden. Wow, that's quite intense. If you have proof that it's there, why don't you fix it? Why did you take out the malware? Why don't you find out where it came from, if you even can? Why don't you fix your security so it can't be put there? But saying, oh yeah, there's hidden malware out there and we know where it's come from. It's like, oh, you kidding me? I've never seen that leprechaun, but I know what kind of shoes he's wearing. Oh my God, how stupid do people... Well, I guess we'll find out over time. Now, many people, of course, have assumed that America has done the same thing to other countries. So NBC News reviewed a bunch of documents and combined them with remarks from a senior U.S. intelligence official who says that, yes, that is the case. In the case of Russia, well, so America has implanted malware in critical Russian systems, ready for activation. What? Shouldn't this be front page news? These are two nuclear-armed powers committing surreptitious acts of war by Hillary Clinton's definition against each other. Oh, stay home, stay home, stay home. U.S. officials seem to express significant concerns that Russia will use its cyber attack capabilities in an attempt to disrupt the presidential election. Now they say we don't expect Russia to attack critical infrastructure. Many believe that would be an act of war, but maybe cyber mischief, fake documents, bogus social media accounts designed to spread misinformation. Wow. Release of fake documents in an attempt to influence an election. Misinformation spread with the goal of influencing an election. That would be an attack upon the very foundations of democracy. Boy, it's a really, really great thing. The mainstream media has never put out false accusations or proliferated fake documents because they are all Democrats and designed to influence people about who they vote. Boy, see, when Russia does it, it's really, really terrible and it's election rigging. When our friends in the media do very similar things, well, that's called the Fourth Estate. It's good reporting. And First Amendment. So, it's so... again, it's so boringly predictable, but it's not being reported on. And so there is an expert who says U.S. hacks into the computer systems of China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and so on. It's gone on for years and so on. And that is that seems kind of important. That seems like kind of an escalation. And if Hillary Clinton's right, and cyber attacks or cyber intrusions, right? Of course, you can't have a cyber attack without a cyber intrusion. But if America has placed all of these cyber bombs in critical infrastructure in other countries, that seems kind of important and seems like a big escalation. Because this stuff is notoriously hard to track, right? I mean, I'm no expert on it, but as far as I understand it, there's spoof addresses, there's virtual private networks, there's something called the dark web, apparently, which is not a horror story about a spider in Australia the size of a dinner plate, but is something else. Now, according to Zero Hedge, see, influencing elections electronically, really, really bad. But a UK-based company that has provided voting machines for 16 states. You know, some of the relatively important states, battleground states, Florida and Arizona and so on. This UK company has direct ties with Clinton crusader and billionaire leftist George Soros. Recent WikiLeak email revelations have shown that Hillary Clinton got some foreign policy directives and coordinated some aspects of domestic policy with George Soros. And Hillary Clinton has received tens of millions of dollars from the billionaire in presidential campaign support. So he seems a little bit on the partisan side, and there's links to the people from him who supply the election counting machines. Is that, I don't know, is that worthy of investigation? Are there no people in America who can put these machines together? I mean, Americans seem to have the capacity to cyber intrude into various well-protected systems overseas in foreign languages, no less. But apparently they can't staple together something to count button pushes on a improperly often calibrated touchscreen. So the question is, why is this story floating around? What's going on? I don't know. But I'm going to put out some speculation, which is all speculation. You can take it with a grain of salt, but this is my sort of thoughts. First of all, Trump is doing very well. And so, on the one hand, the Democrats say, oh, you know, Trump and Putin sitting in a tree, Kissi, they're all friends with each other, and Trump has all these ties, and he's a Russian puppet, and so Putin loves the Donalds. So if Trump is doing well, and is doing well on Tuesday, well, Russia isn't going to disrupt the election because the guy they get in, say the guy who's not arming ISIS slash Al-Qaeda style rebels against the president of Syria and against Russia, well, they might be kind of keen on having the Donald in because he's going to stop all of these useless, incendiary, civilization-destroying wars in the Middle East and elsewhere. So I don't think that Putin's going to have much of a problem if Trump gets in, and he's doing very well. So you see, the election was bulletproof, couldn't possibly be rigged when Hillary was ahead. Now that she's falling back quite a bit, it's going to be rigged by Russia. We're worried about it, and we're going to keep an eye on it. And we're basically going to declare cyber war / real war against Russia should we suspect them of doing anything to disrupt the election, to the point of fake social media accounts spreading false information. Really? That's it? That's what we might be going to war over? Facebook posts? Are you kidding me? Is this crazy? Shouldn't we be talking about this just a little bit more? Notice how Congress is not mentioned anywhere in this, because if cyber attacks are a declaration of war, and America's going to launch cyber attacks against Russia if the American government suspects that there may be some misinformation floating around on the internet. Yeah, it's called the internet as a whole, except for this channel and a few other places we know and love. So shouldn't they be talking to Congress about this? Isn't this kind of a declaration of war? Based on what? We think there may be bots that are posting false info. Twitter is gonna... Man, this is completely insane. But this is, I believe, again, speculation time, but this is what could be playing out. If the Democrats believe that they're going to lose the election on Tuesday, well, they may very well say, oh, gosh, don't you know, there was a big cyber attack and there was false information on the internet. Therefore, election invalid. Therefore, I don't know, let's activate cyber attacks on Russia because we think they may have done it because I had borscht once and that's unrelated. But hey, let's just go with that as a kind of proof. And then what? Or here's another situation. What they've basically said is if we have any kind of evidence of anyone trying to influence the election with false information or disruptive event-y things, well, I don't know. The Saudis and the Qataris seem to give a lot of money to the Clintons. They probably want her in power. The Saudis are reported to have funded significant amounts of Hillary's election war chest. So maybe the Saudis could do a little attack here and there. Next thing you know, oh, gee, we seem to be at cyber war / war, and we think that the elections were rigged, so sorry about that whole voting thing. You know, it was pretty fun while it lasted, and, you know, you can keep your selfie of your vote as a souvenir of something that may not be happening again for quite a while. See, the important thing to remember, this is no ordinary election, my friends. This election is winner take all. This election, if the Democrats get in and legitimize tens of millions of illegal immigrants who are all going to vote Democrat, then the Republican Party is done and it becomes a one-party or uniparty state from here to eternity. And then there will be elections, just like you could have elections in communist countries, but it won't make any difference. There won't be any outcome that will alter. Whereas, of course, as we know from Donald Trump's comments to Hillary Clinton, if Donald Trump gets in, there are going to be some pretty significant investigations going forward against the Clintons, against the Clinton Foundation. And where that leads, we know that Barack Obama was sending emails with a cunning pseudonym back and forth with Hillary Clinton on her server. And who knows where that's going to lead. So you understand, this is a winner-take-all election. Now, I don't tell anyone what to think, of course. I like to give examples on how to think. But I'll tell you what I think. If on Tuesday there are all of these rumblings coming out about cyber intrusions and false information and cyber attacks, I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to take the words of George Carlin to heart. I'm not going to believe a word of it.